Ooh, that was bad.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, Kyle. How are you?
Good. How are you, Jessica?
Not bad at all. Winding down now. Hey, is this your last session, Kyle?
Last session, yeah.
Wow.
Now I'll be at Stella's in person tomorrow morning.
That's
But,
right. Yep.
Other than that, you know, the program's pretty much right around the corner, or the ending of the program. So
Yep.
it's crazy. The last 2 months seem like they've flown by.
Just flying by. Yep, absolutely.
Hi, Kyle.
Oh, hi, Sharon. Do I see Linda and Gloria with you?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, perfect attendance, all three of you.
Oh, yes. We were brought up good.
I know this was a very brief program, but I'm glad I was able to get these resources out to, you know, the people that would actually make the most of them, Christina. So, but I know this program flew by, and you know, it's about to end as soon as it began, pretty much. So. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm off tomorrow, so it's Friday for me, which is always good.
So lucky. There's like 3 or 4 people in the office tomorrow. I think that's it.
Yeah. It's gonna be quiet.
Which isn't that bad, honestly. Oh my God. We're going to get started now in a minute or two if you want to get like coffee or water or something. It's May 2/4 weekend. Any big plans?
Hoping to have good weather.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
Stay
nice.
with it.
It's supposed to be nice up most of the weekend.
I
Yeah,
was saying to Neil,
hopefully.
this is like the first May 2/4 weekend that we didn't have rain or snow. So, make the most of it.
True.
Escaping to the cabin. I like it. I think we're looking at 23-degree weather. I don't know if that's on Monday or if it's just sometime over the weekend, but
I think Monday right now is supposed to be the nicest day as of right now.
it's like summer days already here.
I'll take it for sure.
Yeah.
If it happens.
All right. Let's get started, and people can trickle in if you like. So can everyone see my screen okay? So my name is Kyle. For those of you, I think everyone's been here before, so I don't even need the intro, but thank you for joining me for this final Train the Trainer session for accessing digital resources. Today, we're going to be covering social media and employment tools. So a lot of the resources that I'll be sending out today, the presentations, the activities, I'll show you a list of what you can make use of. So I actually work for the Community Sector Council, and we're a nonprofit independent organization focused on making Newfoundland and Labrador a prosperous and inclusive province. So generally we'll consult with other governments and nonprofits to implement policies. And at the same time, we can actually create our own programs such as Techno Tutors or Finders Keepers. And through those programs, we're able to fill gaps in the community. Just give me one moment. I'd like to say a special thank you to United Way for helping fund this Train the Trainer opportunity and allowing the Techno Tutors legacy to live on. A couple notes before we get started. So the meeting is being recorded. Just double check on that. Yes. I expect the session to be an hour and a half, 2 hours, usually closer to 2 hours, depending on the questions and comments. You're not going to need to take any notes because I'll be sending out the slides afterwards. Feel free to turn on or off your camera, depending on your comfort in front of the camera, or your preference, I should say. Use Zoom's mute feature to mute or unmute. And we're going to have time for questions, so please be patient. But at any time, you can enter them into the chat and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And then otherwise, you could try to use Zoom's raise hand feature or just unmute your mic and speak up. So I'd like to welcome everyone. I think we're past the introductions, but if anyone wants to, explain why you're here, what kind of resources you're hoping to get, now is your chance. silent group. So some of the resources that I'll be sharing, again, these are going to be presentations, the practice activities, step-by-step guides. And the topics that will be shared with you after the session, Facebook basics. So that's going to be smart devices as well as, your standard laptop or desktop. So we're trying to cover all Facebook basics for all devices. There's going to be one on Facebook business pages. Are captions possible? Hang on one second. That's okay, Alexander. So we're also going to be, I'm also going to be sending out Facebook events like the presentation, the activities, as well as some step-by-step guides. So Facebook events, Facebook groups, Facebook Live, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Messenger, privacy settings. Finally, we move into Instagram basics. There's one on Pinterest, as well as TikTok, Twitter, Zoom for hosts, as well as Zoom for participants. So you get both angles. Indeed, as well as LinkedIn, online job searching, online resume writing, and more. So we have a ton of different resources available. And with the link that I've already sent to all of you, you should be able to already access them. Oh, yes, Vanessa?
Yeah, you mentioned, comment about a link that you've sent. May I ask when and where? This is the first of your sessions that I've sat in. I've done other sessions with Techno Tutors before, but so I'm not sure what link you're referring to.
Oh, sorry about that, Vanessa. I didn't recognize that you were new. I thought you had actually attended the last session. So essentially, after this class, I'm going to send you a link in which you'll be able to access all of our resources, not just the social media and employment stuff, but you'll have access to that stuff afterwards. And then you can, if you have any questions on any of the topics, or if you can't access the materials for whatever reason, I'll be available over email or phone call.
Thank you very much. No, like I said, I have sat in on some Techno Tutors sessions in the past, but I believe this is the first training session that I've done with you as the facilitator.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to launch a poll. But which of these 4 topics interest you the most? So we have Facebook privacy settings, applying on Indeed. So although Indeed is not going to be included in the session due to time constraints, during the live demonstration, I can do some work on Indeed if you're interested. Zoom hosting features, as well as a couple of new features they've just added, or LinkedIn for networking. No love for Indeed. This is actually pretty close. I'll end it there. So there's some interest in Facebook privacy settings, Zoom hosting, and LinkedIn. I'm going to see if I can do Facebook privacy settings in the first live demonstration. And then for Zoom hosting and LinkedIn, I'll see if I can get both of them in for the second demonstration later. Perfect. So today, we're going to be covering a lot of the most frequent questions that TechnoTutors received based on some of these topics. And those topics include the differences between a Facebook page and a Facebook group, how to change your Facebook privacy settings, the basics of Instagram, LinkedIn for networking as well as employment, Zoom hosting and how to use some features as well as the 2 new features that they have, and tips on teaching and facilitating is what we'll end with. But I actually came up with a new tip that might be of interest. So section 1, understanding Facebook and Instagram. So what exactly is the difference between a Facebook page and a Facebook group? Well, a Facebook page is essentially an individual or a group that you are going to follow. So it can be run by an organization, a nonprofit, a charity, a small business, a large corporation, brands, public figures, etc. But essentially, it's a more professional grouping of people or groups that you're going to be following. The thing with the Facebook page is that information is largely one-sided. So whoever moderates your Facebook page or that Facebook page is going to make posts and send information out to the public. You know, let's say American Eagle might make a post about this promotion that they're offering, but the idea isn't to get engagement from you, but rather just to promote their own business or actions. Facebook group is a bit different. Essentially, you have a community with a shared interest in a subject. So the person who, or persons who create a Facebook group are going to have a similar interest with the rest of the community. It can be run by anyone trying to create a community. You know, let's say I wanted to create like a board gaming group. Then if I was the game master or the one hosting the games, then I could create a Facebook group and just have a few individuals join. The cool thing about Facebook groups is information isn't largely one-sided. Instead, information is meant to be shared back and forth. And the moderator isn't the only person sharing that information. It's going to be equally coming from individuals who just want to share their own, you know, board game recommendations, for example. The best way to separate Facebook pages from groups, I find, is to think of a Facebook page like a lecture where you're teaching like up to 300 students. Like I said, the information's one-sided. You're not going to get any questions, maybe a couple, but essentially you're just presenting information to a group without any expectation of them engaging with you. Facebook groups, on the other hand, are more like a seminar in which, you know, you probably have much smaller but tighter knit community of people who are with an emphasis on engagement and communication with one another. But everyone's going to share their ideas on a subject, even though someone is managing the group. It doesn't mean that others are forbidden from engaging. Another key difference with the Facebook page is in order to follow a Facebook page, you have to like it. So once you like a Facebook page, and all Facebook pages are public, once you like it, you will be automatically following that page and any future posts that they create. A group, on the other hand, can be private or public. And if it's public, generally you will have to apply to get in, and an administrator will have to admit you. Now, some groups allow you in like any members in, but for the most part, because groups are tighter knit communities, it's the moderator's job to accept whether you're going to be invited into the community or not. For a private Facebook group, these are invitation only. So you actually can't find these on Facebook through a search function unless someone invites you directly. So there's a lot more control over the Facebook group rather than the Facebook page. Now, speaking of privacy, let's go over some Facebook privacy settings. One key thing to keep in mind with any type of social media, not just Facebook, is that it's meant to be shared. So there are limits to what you can do privately on Facebook. And no matter what, your profile picture as well as your banner are always going to be public. You cannot make those private in any way unless you deactivate your account. Anything you post online has the potential of being made public. So, for example, let's say you share a post with just your friends and family, expecting it to not have much reach. But what if one of your friends shares that post with their friends? Then you're going to get into the unintended audience of people that you probably don't know also being able to see and share your post. And the other issue is your post doesn't even have to be shared in order for it to become public. Someone could take a screenshot of it, and unfortunately, then your post is public forever, even if you try to delete it. There's no way to turn back time. That said, there are some ways to make your post more private in order to have a degree of more control over your Facebook. For those of you who attended my previous session on the digital footprint, this is a great way. The Facebook privacy settings are a great way of making sure that the impression that you're leaving to employers or graduate or university admittance, privacy settings are a great way of making sure that you are leaving a positive impression to these employers and potential people that are looking at your profile online. So the first way of controlling your privacy settings is through an individual post. So if I wanted to make just this specific post private, see how there's a globe icon right here? If I click that drop-down menu or tap it, you'll see that right now it's set to public. So anyone in the world, if they stumble on my profile, is going to be able to see this particular post. But if I switch it to friends, or maybe I have a picture of a family event that I only want my family members to see, I could choose specific friends. Or again, maybe this is just something that I want for myself. I can make it only for me. Now, if you have hundreds of posts on Facebook, doing this for each one is a bit ridiculous and tedious. So in that case, there is another option. So if you're on a laptop or a desktop, you can go to this little drop down arrow in the top right corner, and there should be a button that says settings and privacy. So I've clicked this, and then from there I can just click settings, and that will allow me to engage with my privacy settings. And also, although this is the only one labeled privacy, a lot of your privacy settings are going to appear under general, security and login, and public posts, as well as profile and tag. If I'm using a smartphone or a tablet, same thing, except I'm going to be clicking or tapping the hamburger menu in the top right corner. And after I tap that, I would go settings and privacy, settings. And then from there, I'm going to have, I mean, it looks a bit different, but a lot of the same settings will be available if I just scroll down the screen. And this is what your privacy settings look like on a desktop or a laptop. So some of the most important settings that you'll be editing include managing your profile. So that little block on the left side of your screen, you know, the one that tells what high school you went to, where you're currently working, what city you're living in, your date of birth, things like that. I can limit the privacy by managing my profile there. I can also go over who can send me friend requests. So maybe I don't want my profile public to the rest of the world, and that, you know, I'm getting bombarded with a ton of friend requests. Maybe instead I want to limit that to friends of friends or something similar. Another good one to edit is who can see your future posts. So if I only want my friends to see my future posts, this is how I would do that. There are some additional settings for retroactively changing your posts. So rather than me having to go through 100 different posts, trying to change them from public to private, I can just go under your activity and notice where it says review all your posts and things you're tagged in. Well, if I click use activity log and then limit past posts, this is going to make sure that every single post on my timeline that I've ever made over the years is available only to my friends. So only my friends will be able to see those posts that were previously public. Any questions on any of the Facebook stuff before we quickly dive into Instagram? So there are actually 3 different types of tags on Instagram. The first one is your hashtag. So the hashtag identifies the theme of the post or a keyword that you're looking for. This is good for helping you find content that you're interested in seeing. Another type of tag is the geotag. Excuse me. So the geotag allows you to add geographical information to, you know, your picture, the video, whatever you're posting. It shows your current or whichever locations you're selecting. So if you want to tell a friend that you're currently downtown in St. John's, you could use a geotag on your post that, you know, if you want to hang out with me, come on down. The other thing with geotags is they're good for example, hiking locations. If you want to show someone where you've experienced this beautiful view of the picture you've just taken, then you can use a geotag to represent that location. And then you have the user tag. So the user tag identifies other users in the post. So whether that's another Instagram friend of yours who happens to be in the photo, or maybe they're just interested in that photo, that beautiful sunset that you've created. So it's going to, when you, let's say I was to tag at CSCNL, my company, or my nonprofit organization, that's going to notify CSC that they were mentioned in a post, and then they will have a direct link for responding to that post or responding to the fact that I've tagged them. There's also a few different types of content that you can find on Instagram. So the first is the feed post. And with an Instagram feed post, that's essentially any content added to your profile for a follower to view. So those can be images or videos, and they are permanently locked on your profile unless you delete the post. There's also the direct message. So this is going to be similar to Facebook Messenger in that you're only communicating with one person back and forth at a time. And then finally, you get to the stories. So stories are actually temporary posts for your followers to tap on and view. So if I was to tap your story here, I would be able to create my own story, except it would only last for 24 hours unless I archive it. And you'd have to do that in your Instagram settings. But if you archive a story, it will always be on your profile, despite the fact that stories are only supposed to last 24 hours before they completely disappear. Then we get into the anatomy of Instagram posts. So the first button that you can see down here is the home button. That button allows you to see content from any people or groups that you're following. So if I tap that home button, it's going to show a list of posts until I get to a section that says you're all caught up. And that means there's no new posts that I haven't seen yet. But essentially the order of these posts is going to go by who you engage with the most on Instagram, or who Instagram feels like you'll like the most based on your previous likes and comments and things like that. Then you have the Explore, this little magnifying glass icon, which is down here. This allows you to find users, content, hashtags, and more. So if I was looking for a specific person to become friends with on Instagram, or follow, I should say, then I could use this to find them. Or if I was looking for a specific subject like cats or some type of animal, then I can just type that in there so I can find posts that are related to what I just typed in. Add photo. So this button up here in the top right corner allows me to just add photos or videos to my profile that will be permanently stuck on that profile unless I delete it. And that the post will look like this, where users can like, comment, or share my post, similar to a Facebook post. Activity, not this heart, but this heart up here in the top right corner. That's where you're going to find follow requests, likes, and tags. So if someone's requested to follow me, before I give them permission, I would tap on this heart, and then I would either approve or ignore the request to follow me. And if someone likes your latest post, or if someone tags you in a post, same thing. Those are going to appear in chronological order underneath here, underneath that heart. then DM for direct messages. Anyone you're communicating with back and forth in a one-on-one scenario, that's going to appear in here. And same idea, you can send images or videos to them without having to post on your own profile or to your story. And then finally, your Instagram profile. So right here in the bottom right corner, if you can see that, you can change information on your profile or just take a look at your post. It's entirely up to you. You can see what it looks like to the public, anyone else who finds your profile. And then the final thing of note on Instagram is engagement. So if you open Instagram, you're going to be led to that home page that we just saw, that little home, the house icon. And there you're going to be able to see the latest post from those you follow. So if I was looking at this post and I enjoyed it, I have the option to like it, to comment or reply to someone's comment. I'm not sure if the share button is still there, but if it's not, there is another way to share. I'll show you now in a second. Or I could use the bookmark for saving this post. Maybe I want to look at it again later, then I can use this bookmark to check it out again later. The final thing of note is that little kebab menu in the top right corner. If I was to tap that, it gives me additional options for not just the post, but for the user connected to the post. So I could report them. I could turn on post notifications. So say I had turned it off previously, I didn't want to be notified to their post. As in, you're going to get a post every time your phone is off or silent. I could copy a link. I could share this post directly. So that is the other option for sharing. If I want to unfollow them entirely, maybe I don't like this profile, I can unfollow there. But if I don't want the other person to know that I'm unfollowing them, that I'm not seeing their posts anymore, I could just tap mute instead. Whiz. So which of the following isn't a type of tag on Instagram? Let me launch the call again. So A, user tag, B, brand tag, C, hashtag, or D, geotag. Which one is not a type of tag on Instagram? Great job. So it is indeed the brand tag. There's no such thing as a brand tag, but I think it'd be pretty cool if there was. All right, let's do a live demonstration on Facebook privacy settings. So can everyone see my screen okay? So if I wanted to change my Facebook privacy settings, I'd be coming up to this downward arrow in the top right corner, your profile, settings and privacy, and then settings. So under general, one interesting setting that I haven't gone over yet is memorialization. So if I was to edit the setting, if I had a friend on Facebook who I trusted a lot, if I was to ever unfortunately pass away, I could choose a friend to essentially inherit my account. So if I passed away, it would say memorialized after my name to show that I'm no longer here. And whoever I've appointed as my legacy contact, they will have full control over my account, whether they want to delete it or save some of my posts, or if I have a bunch of pictures, if this is the only place that I put my pictures on Facebook, then they could save those images in their own safe place. So choosing a legacy contact is just an excellent option for those who don't want their information on Facebook to be lost forever. But let's go to privacy, where you're going to find the majority of your privacy settings. So, for example, your activity, it says who can see your future post. Right now it's friends. What if I said specific friends? Now, I don't think I've added anyone because I just created this account. Yeah. But otherwise, I could just type in a name like weird. And if I was friends with Jeff, they would come up here and then I could save my changes in that only Jeff would be able to see my friend, or only Jeff would be able to see my future posts. Sorry. This is the other option, review all your posts and things you're tagged in. So this is good for your future posts, but if you're trying to retroactively control your digital footprint to make it positive, we would go to use activity log. Oh, they've changed this. Yeah, settings. Review posts you're tagged in. That's Facebook for you. They update like every month or two. So this only controls what's allowed on your profile. Post your tag and still appear in search, feed, and other places on Facebook. So this is only for posts that people tag me in. Go back. It might also be because oh, I see. It's on the left-hand side, your post. Sort of hard. They've actually added a lot more ways to control your previous post. So let me just go back to the only posts I have in my profile. If I was to, you can actually select multiple posts at the same time. But if I wanted to change the privacy settings for this previous post I've made, I would select it. I would click change audience. And then I can change whether it's set to public, my friends, or only me. And yes, you can select multiple posts at the same time in order to not have to do this for individual ones. Any Facebook privacy settings in particular you'd like to know about, or you'd like to know if they are available? If not, I can dedicate more time to LinkedIn and Zoom later on. Going once, going twice. Go. So any questions on Facebook privacy settings, your Instagram, or the positive digital footprint that I was talking about, in which you can create a good image for potential employers or even your current employer? Any questions at all or comments? Quiet group today. How about we just take a 10-minute break? Does that sounds good to everyone? And we'll come back for 2:53. All right, see you then. All right, is everyone back? Clear this. Can I just get a thumbs up from someone if we're ready to continue? I see Linda there. Okay, perfect. Let's do it. So now we'll go over the second section with navigating LinkedIn and Zoom hosting. So what is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a social media platform that's similar to Facebook. And by similar to Facebook, I mean almost identical. You can create a professional profile with employment history, education, etc. You can search for employment opportunities. You can connect with like-minded professionals, or you can even network with potential partners or customers. So if there's an organization that you're interested in working for or volunteering with, you have the potential to connect with them on LinkedIn, even if you don't know the person specifically. And they often say that it's about who you know rather than what you know. So LinkedIn is the perfect platform for building those connections and then having not only what you know through whatever resume you've developed, but also through all those contacts that you're developing over time. So navigating LinkedIn. In the top left corner of your screen when you log in, you can see a search bar. And this is how you can search for businesses, organizations, pages. Some people will actually write blog posts that you are expected to give an opinion on. Or if you want to look for a specific individual to network with, all of those can be found in the top left corner there. In the top right corner, you're actually going to find the rest of the LinkedIn features that you might be looking for. So for example, the home screen is a lot like the Facebook news feed, where you can see all of your friends' posts and things that they've liked or engaged with. My network is where you can find your connections. So organizations that you've networked with, as well as people, individuals that you've networked with or might want to network with, they can be found here. Oh, sorry. Another cool button is jobs. So with LinkedIn, you can actually apply for jobs directly or apply for them externally on a different website. But a lot of people, a lot of employers will post their jobs here for potential people to find. So if you're following an organization and they make a job posting, they might do it on LinkedIn if they already have a LinkedIn profile that's been established. Messaging is sort of like Facebook Messenger or direct messages on Instagram. So if you want to connect or communicate with an individual, then you can do so through the messaging button. Notifications, it's a bell, just similar to the Facebook notification bell, but same idea. If someone's trying to connect with you, or if someone's invited you to like their page, for example, all of that is going to show up in notifications. I'll just wait for Debbie to come in. And then the final button here is me. So if I wanted to change specific elements of my profile, sorry about that. If I wanted to change certain elements of my profile or add my resume to my profile, I could do so through the me section here. or I can change my account settings here as well. So editing your profile. So if I clicked or tapped, depending on if I'm using the app or not, if I clicked on me, I can actually go directly to my profile where you get, very similar to Facebook again, your profile picture, your banner image, but also a little about phrase, sort of like what used to be the profile heading on a resume. You can also see where I'm working, which university I've gone to, where I've gotten my education from. And this little pencil icon allows me to change any of that information. If I wanted to change my banner image or my profile picture, that would be done through this pencil icon instead. If I scroll down, excuse me, you can see the About section, in which I can give a brief description, sort of like a mini cover letter. And this allows potential employers or anyone visiting my profile that wants to connect, they get an idea of who I am, but from a professional perspective. And we always recommended with TechnoTutors about 2 small paragraphs, because any more, it's unlikely that your profile is going to be read anyway. So better to just put the most important and information there and make it as concise as possible. And then in featured, if you can see down here, I've uploaded my resume to my profile. So featured allows you to add anything that you're proud of, maybe your awards and accomplishments, maybe a tight but like well-written blog post that you've made. All of those things can be put into your featured section. Now we'll go over networking. So networking on LinkedIn is, I would say, probably the most important thing that you can do in terms of trying to find employment or trying to keep up to date on an organization. So right here on the left-hand side, you can see all of the different types of network connections I have. So connections itself would be the people I'm essentially friends with. Contacts are people that I can deem who I want to add to a specific network. People I follow, any groups, sort of like Facebook groups, Facebook events, Facebook pages, all that stuff will appear here. Pages that you're invited to, for example, newsletters, hashtags, all kinds of great stuff for building your network. On the right side, you can see invitations from people who I've yet to accept. But if I know this person, I can accept their invitation to join the network. And what that would do is turn them into what's called a first degree connection. So you might have noticed next to someone's name, usually if like you're searching for someone, it'll say first, second, or third next to their name. That's the degree of connection you have to them. So a first degree connection are people that you're directly connected with. A second degree connection is essentially a friend of a friend, whereas a third degree connection is everyone else in the community. People that you don't know at all, or people that you just haven't networked with yet will appear as third degree connections. But as soon as I accept an invitation from someone who's a third degree connection or second degree, they instantly become a first degree connection, because now we're connected in a different way. Okay, and then searching for and saving jobs, another important feature on LinkedIn. You can actually apply for jobs on LinkedIn if you're looking for something specifically. And this would be great for your program participants, I think. So under jobs, if I was to click that, they give you suggested job searches based on your profile. So for example, things taken from my resume, but also things taken from my about section. So they give you potential searches, but they also give you a list of jobs that best match your profile. So if I wanted to save this post for later, if I wanted to check out this job description, I would just click the bookmark icon and it would appear under my job. So I can view it at any time in case I want to apply later, or if I want to learn a bit more about the employer, things like that. The other thing I can do is maybe I want to apply directly for the job, so I can open it. So, there we go. And not only can, well, you usually be given two options. So not only can you save this for later if you wanted to view it, but there'll be two options between applying for jobs. So if you see this in Easy Apply, that means you can actually apply directly on LinkedIn without having to go to an external website. Otherwise, I think you'll see a green button that says apply on company website or something similar. But either way, it's a great way to find potential jobs that might not be on other job listing websites. Any questions on LinkedIn before we move into Zoom for Host? Again, I can do a live demo later. Yes, Vanessa?
What's the difference between a, because I noticed like with LinkedIn that they're asking sometimes like for a paid or a higher up profile, I guess. Like I've gotten emails regarding like, you know, upgrading my LinkedIn account.
Are you talking about like the different features?
I guess, I don't know, I just know, but why is there, it seems to be I haven't used LinkedIn a whole lot because it seems to be limited unless you have a paid account for something. So I'm just wondering what's the, if you're not on a job search or if you're not in the market to hire individuals, is it worthwhile having that upgraded paid account?
That one is dependent on whether you are looking to build skills. So for example, there was a button I didn't touch on, but at the far right, there was a work button, I think it was. Let me just go back. There it is. Yeah, the work button. So under work, they actually have these courses on LinkedIn, and some of them are free, but for the most part, you have to pay for them or you need a premium account. But essentially, you can get certificates and official certificates that can just aid your resume. So primarily with premium, they either want to get you to enroll in these certificates or to offer those certificates, certificate programs and learning materials to your employees or to your volunteers, that kind of thing. If you're not interested in building skills on Instagram, I would say the premium membership isn't of much use, like you said, especially if you're not looking for employees and things like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions on LinkedIn before we jump into Zoom? Perfect. Well, I'm going to assume everyone's a LinkedIn professional, and I'll let everyone go early so you can enjoy the weather. But let's just fly through Zoom and we'll do a demo on Zoom and then we'll call it a day. So Zoom for Host, an overview. Essentially, it requires an account to host, which can be shared with your coworkers. So multiple people can log in to your Zoom account, but only one person can host at a time. So if you have two people logged into a Zoom account at the same time, and one of them is trying to host a session, it may actually boot either one of them out. So if you are sharing an account with your coworkers, it's best that only one of you is signed in at a time. The Zoom website actually has a lot more features than the program or the application, which is why I like to use the website when I'm setting up meetings. And if I wanted to do things like add polls or change my Zoom profile settings, all of that stuff has to be done on the website. You can't do it through the program. The website seems to work better for scheduling meetings. I don't know why, but there's more accessibility to adding things to your calendars or other people's calendars when you're trying to schedule meetings through Zoom on the website rather than the program. And many options such as the waiting room or the breakout room, meeting passwords, those kinds of things, they have to be set up on the website as well. Calls can be created before or even during a meeting. And when we go over the demo, I can show you Zoom has a new feature that allows you to add a poll to every single meeting that you have. So rather than having to create a new poll every single meeting, if you have a generalized one with like a simple question, A, B, C, or D, then you can add it to every single meeting as well as every single future meeting. So now we'll go over sharing your screen. So there are lots of different things that you can share on your screen with Zoom with the rest of your, anyone who's on the call, your participants or coworkers. But essentially, when you click the share screen, you're going to see a window pop up. And that window looks a lot like this. Under the basic tab, you're looking at sharing your screen directly. So if you have, let's say people are sending you emails and you have your email client open, then if you get a notification on your email, it's possible that whoever is attending your Zoom call, whoever's on, will also be able to see that notification. So I would only use the screen if it's absolutely necessary. They have a whiteboard, so if you're trying to brainstorm ideas with the rest of the members of your company, everyone can type or write or draw on a whiteboard. iPhone or iPad. So Zoom actually allows you to share an iPhone or an iPad if you want to share the screen of that for, let's say, trying to learn how to navigate an app. However, Android tablets and smartphones aren't built into Zoom like that. So you can only share iPhones or iPads from what I know. And then everything else is going to be what you have open on your computer currently. So for instance, a presentation, snipping tool, any program, if you have Excel open, those are going to appear down here. We always recommend to click share computer sound before you click the share button, because if you have a video in your presentation or anything that requires audio, it's not going to play unless this little box here is selected. Next, we'll get into annotation tools, and we'll be doing an exercise soon enough. But your annotation tools are generally going to be located at the top of your screen, wherever you keep that little green bar. Under view option. Yeah. But is there a question or comment?
Oh, sorry that we couldn't find that open button, or my button. This is about the previous one. Do you recommend, if you think that you're going to be sharing a screen, just have the minimal that's open that you think you're going to need rather than having a lot up there, or does it really matter?
I wouldn't say it matters, but if you go over your limit, like let's say there's 8 windows down here, there's going to be, the 8th one is going to be your button for everything else. So if you're struggling to find something, the specific window that you're trying to share, it's because you have too many things open and it's located down here. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter, but to make things cleaner and easier to find, it is nice to have just a couple of things open at the same time.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll have maybe several Word documents open, and then when you want to pick it, you're not even sure which one
Yeah.
that you want to choose, right? Yeah.
They do their best to try to name them, but if you have like several Word documents, I would just keep open the one that you're trying to share at a time. And then you can create a new share if you want to open, or if you want to share your other document.
Okay. Thanks.
No worries. For annotation tools, though, if we come up to that green bar under View Options, you'll see Annotate right here. That allows you to draw or put stamps or smileys or add text to the screen. So this is great for brainstorming activities, or if you're trying to facilitate engagement, annotation is a great way of doing so. Okay, I got a brief video here on breakout rooms because I'm not able to show you breakout rooms without pushing everyone away.
Video breakout rooms allow Zoom users to easily place meeting attendees into sub-meetings for group discussion, activities, projects, and more.
Can everyone hear the audio phone?
To get started, log in at zoom.us and view the meeting settings section. Click to edit advanced settings and make sure that breakout rooms is checked. The next time you host a Zoom meeting, you will see the breakout rooms button at the bottom of the Zoom panel. While you are sharing your screen, the button is under the More menu. Click here to start using breakout rooms. Zoom will show the number of eligible participants. Choose how many rooms to create and let Zoom assign the participants automatically, or choose to manually assign for more control, as we'll demonstrate here. Create breakout rooms to proceed. Your breakout rooms are now available and participants are still in the main meeting. Float your mouse over the breakout room to rename or delete the room. Click to assign participants, check their names, and click Assign again. Do this for each breakout room. Your participants are now assigned. If you want to change an assignment, float your mouse over a participant name where you can move the participant to another room or exchange the participant with someone already assigned to another room. When you're ready, click to open all rooms. This will cause your participants to automatically move into their assigned breakout room. The list will indicate that participants have successfully connected when the gray dot turns green. Meeting participants will be prompted to join breakout rooms where they can speak on audio, show their webcams, share screen, and chat as normal. They can also ask for help to send a prompt to the meeting host. Participants can also choose to leave the breakout room anytime to be returned to the main meeting. Return to the breakout rooms list as the host, and you can choose to join any of the breakout rooms to offer assistance. You can broadcast a message to participants and a banner will be displayed. This is great for instructions or timing announcements. Again, float your mouse over a participant name to move the participant. When you are ready, close the breakout rooms. Participants will have 60 seconds to finish their discussion and will be returned to the main meeting. Open the breakout rooms menu again to quickly reopen the same breakout rooms or to make new assignments. To learn more, visit zoom.us/live training to register for weekly training sessions. Need help? Visit support.zoom.us for 24/7 assistance.
Any questions on that video? Because I'm not able to show you exactly what the breakout room looks like, because you wouldn't be able to see the options that are coming up on your screen. But any questions on that? Okay. Now we'll move into the final section on Zoom, which is polling. So if you want to poll your participants for whatever reason, to facilitate engagement or to just genuinely ask questions, then there's actually two ways to do that. So the first method is through polls right here in the top right corner. And this is a new feature, but essentially, if you create a poll for your meetings in using this option, it's going to create the poll for every single one of your meetings, as well as every single one of your future meetings. The other option is to create a poll just for a specific meeting itself. So if I wanted to create a poll just for one meeting, this one here, then I would just click on it. And when I scroll all the way to the bottom of the screen, you should see the poll button. So you click that, and then you would click add. And then that would allow you to add a poll, because this window would pop up. And you can enter as many questions as you want. So if I wanted a 5-question poll in which people had to answer each one right in a row, I could do so by entering my title, typing a question, typing each of the individual answers, or just putting A, B, C, or D, depending on what you wanted to do. And I would add an additional question by scrolling down a bit. And you can see right here that I have a poll already created. I've already named it, and it'll appear here. So I can delete the poll. I can edit it, or if I wanted to add an extra answer, or I can add an additional poll to go with this one so that I can launch a different poll depending on what the question is. All right. So which Zoom tool allows you to work in different groups? Let me launch this poll again. Oh, I forgot to stop sharing the previous one. Sorry about that. There we go. So is it A, annotation, B, waiting room, C, poll, or D, breakout room? Which Zoom tool allows you to work in different groups? All right, I'm going to end it there. Great job. Everyone got this one. It's breakout rooms. All right, let's do one more live demo on Zoom itself. Just move this. Perfect. So is everyone comfortable with making or how to create a new meeting? Would anyone like me to go over that? How to schedule one?
Yeah, we would like to hear that, Kyle.
Okay, perfect.
You can keep it open.
Yeah.
Kyle, I know
Yeah.
it says polls, and that's new. Would you have to reinstall Zoom again in order to get that if you using it, say, an older version?
Sorry, I had trouble hearing you there, Linda.
You notice on your screen there, it says for the polls, that's a new feature.
Mm-hmm.
If I've been using an older version, will that show up, or do I have to reinstall or what to get that feature?
Likely you're going to have to update Zoom, but every time you boot Zoom for the first time, like after booting your computer or your device, you should be given
Yeah.
a little prompt that says Zoom has a new update. Click here to update.
Okay.
They're pretty good at warning you when there's a new update. I'm not sure if this feature is available in the program yet, but it is definitely available on the website. So if you'd like to make use of it, try the website one for now.
Okay, because I haven't, Zoom calls have increased now, so I haven't used it for a while.
Mhm. It was funny. I logged in a couple of weeks ago, and this was a new feature. Like I had never seen this before. So it is a pretty good one, especially if you don't want to repeat yourself by creating the same polls over and over. It's just a lot less time consuming to use this option if you can use a very basic poll template. Okay, so let's go over schedule on a meeting. So I would click here. My meeting, so I could say, let's say I wanted to do a Zoom with several clients to teach them. So let's say it's the subject. If you are including registration, I would recommend, typing in a description so that whoever stumbles on your registration form is going to see this little text box. I can choose the date. So if I want to go with a future date, let's say I wanted to create something in April 2023. There we go. I'll select the time. So 2 p.m. The duration isn't that important because even if you run over an hour, for example, if I chose an hour, it will not close your Zoom meeting on you. This is just a general guide of how long the meeting is going to run for anyone who's registering or joining your session. But let's just say I wanted a 2-hour session. You would choose your time zone. So anyone who gets this invite is going to recognize that this is Newfoundland and Labrador time that we're talking about. And depending on their settings, it should automatically update to whatever time that would be their time. So if I went 2:30 Newfoundland and Labrador and I was in Ontario, that should automatically come up for them at 1 p.m. You have a meeting, that kind of thing. Recurring. So if this is going to be something that's recurring every single week at the exact same time, I could click that. And right now it says every day until April 26th. So if I wanted a certain number of recurrences, maybe it's like 4 meetings, I could just type it like that. And right now it says recurrence daily. So I'm going to say weekly and then repeat every 1 week. Yep. And we'll make it Thursday. Sure. So every Thursday it's going to repeat at the exact same time. And that gives your participants, the meeting participants, the idea that, this meeting is going ahead, sort of like scheduling a class, I guess. Let me come down, registration on whether it's required. I'm going to show you registration templates. So I'm going to say required. And I'll leave this option highlighted. It says attendees register once and can attend any of the occurrences. So as long as they register for the first one, they won't have to register for the other 3. If I wanted to, I could create a template, which would automatically allow me to not have to do all these settings over and over. And I'll show you how to save one of those now in a second. Always enable a passcode. And I always recommend to enable waiting rooms to prevent what's called Zoom bombing. And that was when there was a period where Zoom had less security and people were just typing in random letters and numbers to join your meeting. And with Zoom bombing, unfortunately, you had like a lot of racist speech and just people that were trying to cause trouble in these meetings because they managed to get into a random meeting that had no security. So now Zoom has a ton of security features to prevent Zoom bombing. And you can choose whether the host joins a meeting with their video on, as well as participants. Now, even with this option, I can, as a participant or host, I can turn my video off at any time. Just 1 second. So I'll save, and now that meeting is created for all four of those time periods. I can edit it, but let's say I wanted to save this as a template. Oh, okay, so when TechnoTutors had about 70 classes or so we've already created too many templates, but generally you'd be able to create a template and just reload it so you wouldn't have to edit as much, as many of the features. Let me go over registration info. So let's say registration is required. Yeah, it is. So registration is required, which means I can edit those features. Click edit. I'd leave it on automatic. Actually, I'd leave all this stuff as is. But we can create registration questions. So in order to join a Zoom session, I could make these required. Oh, not all of them, sorry. Let's say I want not address, city, state and province, organization, and job title. Actually, we'll add phone number to that. So this column on the left is essentially saying these options are available on the registration itself. The right column is telling me if it's required or not. So if I said, let's say, your job title isn't required, then you have the option of whether or not to fill that out. And you can add custom questions. For everyone who registered for this session, you notice that there was a question on what region of Newfoundland you're from, and there's like a little drop-down menu. I actually created that question with this method. So short answer, I'm going to go with single answer. Same idea. No. And then I can go central. Forget Labrador. Save all. Now I'm going to open this link in another tab. And you can see it's listing my description, all of the potential time slots, as well as all the questions that are required. So, you know, first name and email address are always required, but I didn't make the last name required. So that one's optional. State, province, organization. But now we come to the custom question I just created. So that's what the registration page looks like. I'm going to go back up to meetings. And I'm going to show you how to create a poll. So if you want to create a poll through the meeting, actually, let me go back for a second, sorry. If I wanted to create a poll just for the single meeting, I would come here and then I would create one individually like this. The same thing, except if I wanted it for all of my sessions, is going to appear through polls. So far I have 2, and whenever I create a new meeting, these 2 polls will always appear for them. So let me create a new one. Oh. I'm going to try to see if I can get this to run in this actual meeting. So we'll go Anna. And I'll save it there. Oh, I forgot to name it. There we go. All right, so I'm going to come back to our meeting. Oh, I see something in the chat. Oh, no worries, Vanessa. Polls. Yeah, so even though I just created this poll, I can launch it in this meeting. It's not limited to future meetings. So I'm going to launch it. A good mix here. I'm sure someone's favorite fruit actually isn't here. I should have included the other option, but that's okay. And I'll leave it there. I could share results. Bananas, that is pretty equal for the most part, but a little bit less love for strawberries.
Kyle, how did you launch the poll?
I don't think you can see the button, but you know your toolbar with like your mute and stop video and share screen and stuff? It'll be on the bottom or the top of your screen.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so polls is going to appear in there as a button, and then I would just click it. I wish I could actually show it, but maybe I can go back to the presentation. No. Yeah, I can't actually show it unless I show you my screen. Actually, it's a good idea. Okay, so everyone can just see my screen as is. You see the polls button down here. So I'd click that. And under this little drop-down menu are all the polls that I've created. And all 3 of them are polls that I've created for every single one of my meetings. So, you know, if let's say I had another meeting next week, all 3 of these questions are going to appear and be ready for me to launch. So if I wanted to launch this favorite fruit one again, I'd come down to the meatball menu, and then relaunch.
We're not seeing, we only see umbrellas.
Sorry, you can't see the poll thing that I'm looking at?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It might be for privacy reasons that Zoom is blocking it.
Kyle, we're only seeing your desktop with the umbrellas. Maybe you're not sharing again. I don't know. Just a thought.
No, I think it's because of Zoom sharing settings. Like, because I'm sharing my screen with Zoom, it's not counting Zoom itself. Just for example, like I have my toolbar on my screen, but you can't see that toolbar while I'm giving you the presentation. So Zoom kind of like blocks itself from being shared, unfortunately. So what I can do is take a screenshot to show you what it looks like. And I'll send that along with an email so that you can see exactly how to relaunch polls. Now let's go over one final feature of Zoom, if you'd like, the whiteboard. So does everyone know how to access their annotation tools?
We don't know how.
Okay, so if you hover to, it should be the top of your screen, but it might be on the bottom. If you hover to the bottom of your screen or top, there should be an annotate button. Do you see that there? If not, there might be a little drop-down menu next to the green part of the toolbar, and that will be under View Options. Oh, yeah, there you go. Perfect. Now we'll stay on this until everyone can understand. Everyone gets this. No one gets left behind. Just have some fun. So I could, for example, so if I presented that question to everyone, then you could all add to the whiteboard. Jessica, you can't see it on your Chromebook. Give me 1 sec. I'll see if I can search this up because Chromebooks might be a bit different.
Kyle, I'm just looking on Google here. It says Chromebooks cannot directly annotate using the annotation bar.
Ooh. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh my. Wow. Wow.
Well, I noticed, I don't know if it's with Chromebooks, but like tablets and smartphones, for instance, tend to be missing some annotation options as well as like stamps and things like that. So if you want to leave an emoji, certain ones are actually locked on your smartphone and tablet, whereas they're all available on desktops and laptops. That's really unfortunate, though. I don't know why they lock those features.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So on the bottom or the top of your screen, if you just hover there for a second, you should see like a green toolbar that comes up, or well, it's a gray toolbar with a green little block. And the green block will say you are viewing Kyle's screen, I guess. Next to that, there should be a tiny little drop-down menu. Do you see that there, Claire? Okay, perfect. Under that drop-down menu, when you click that, do you see annotate? Perfect. Yeah, so if you just click annotate, another little gray bar will appear on your screen with like text, draw, all these different options, and then perfect. Awesome. Anyone else confused before we finish up here? No worries. Look at all the artists we have. All right, I'm going to stop the share, or I should say clear all drawings. Sorry. Well, and I'm going to switch back to presentation. So now we'll finish with some tips on facilitating. Like I said, I thought of a new tip that might be useful. So it's always best to host sessions early in the day before 4 p.m. With Techno Tutors, we recognize that 10 to 12 is a great time, you know, after you've gotten your morning coffee and you're ready, you're alert, you're ready to go. 12 to 2 is a good time to let people have lunch and re-energize. And then 2 to 4 is, you know, everyone's re-energized and ready to learn again. So 10 to 12 and 2 to 4 seem to be the best times for learning complicated subjects like digital literacy ones. Avoid teaching on Mondays and Fridays if possible, just because it's harder to retain important information when you're just coming back from a weekend, but also when you're getting ready for the weekend. I mean, most of us are probably already looking out the window thinking of what's going to happen. And because of that, it's difficult to want to learn, to have that motivation or drive to do so. Stick to the basics of anything you're teaching. So if I was teaching the cloud, I would stick to the basics of different types of services, like the difference between Microsoft or OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, and so on. If I include all of these like complicated terms, they're just going to confuse your whoever's participating, whoever's trying to learn, and ultimately all of the concepts may be lost on them. Pause for questions after a major point. Know what you're covering in a session and be prepared for questions. So don't be afraid to admit that you don't have an answer to a question. You know, just like Jessica just asked about the Chromebooks. I didn't know, so I was going to have to do research in the background. But if you just try to offer an answer without knowing, then you could be misleading your whoever you're trying to teach. The new tip I have here is to use hand gestures that precede your main points. So one thing that I've discovered is that public speaking with hand gestures makes a concept a lot easier to understand. So if you are, let's say you're trying to get a difficult point across, if your hand gestures are part of your communication style, because we all know that a lot of communication is done through behavioral or gestures of some sort, body language. So you need to get that communication across. Even over a Zoom meeting, you can try to use those gestures in order to make sure that your concept is being hammered home. And the thing that was actually discovered in a study is if your participants are trying, like when they're trying to learn, if they're using hand gestures, so if you try to get your program participants to use hand gestures as they learn a new concept, it actually aids in memory with retaining information. So I know it's a weird one, but if you can use hand gestures or encourage people to use hand gestures, apparently it aids in memory as well as demonstrates that you're a leader. Find ways to engage your participants. So quizzes, polls, live demonstrations, that annotation example I just had there. If you're a good storyteller, maybe you can offer personal anecdotes. Just encourage everyone to speak in some manner so that engagement can aid in retention. Be prepared to troubleshoot technology issues. So if you sign in 10 or 15 minutes beforehand, you can be prepared for any internet issues that you may run into. Maybe you have to reset the router, things like that. If your internet isn't behaving for whatever reason, maybe you have someone back you up just in case, so that they can take over the teaching. People tend to learn easier through practice. So if you can offer practice activities, definitely do so. Be patient and enthusiastic about the material. So as long as you're patient and you seem to be passionate about the subject that you're teaching, then those who you're teaching are gonna as well hopefully be passionate about that material, or at least try to be. And use live demonstrations or videos whenever possible. Videos don't encourage engagement, but rather just active listening and visual stimulus. Whereas a live demonstration can encourage questions, and also you can alter your pace if you need to slow down or speed up at any point. All right, so some important takeaways from today. We went over the differences between Facebook pages and Facebook groups, changing your Facebook privacy settings, some of the basics of Instagram, LinkedIn for networking and employment, Zoom hosting and how to use some features, including the new poll feature, and tips on teaching and facilitating sessions. And again, I'm just going to share all of these resources, but you're going to get a ton of things on social media, as well as employment for social media, and some tools like resume writing with Google Docs. So if any of that material might be of interest to you, you may already have access to it, or you will after today's session. Any questions or comments on what we covered today, or even any of the previous topics that we covered over the last couple of weeks?
Kyle, this is an embarrassing question, and it's because it's got nothing to do with that, but because this is your last time, when you've got a iPad, maybe I'll show you.
Yeah.
When I have an iPad and see how the keyboard splits, how do I bring it back together?
Um,
Well, if you don't know, that's okay. I didn't mean to. Can you see what I'm talking about?
I can see it. I've never seen anything like this before, though.
It was there. It happened like 6 months ago, and I happened to hit a button, and now I've hit every single button there is, and I think it's just, that's okay. It's a setting, not to worry.
Okay, how about I do some research and take a look at it, because I've never seen that issue before, but I'm sure I can find a solution.
Okay, sorry to add more to your work.
No worries at all. Comments, chat. Oh, Stephanie's actually got a solution possibly. It's somewhere in your settings. You can change your keyboard to split, so it should be in that settings icon, I guess. You're welcome, Paula. Oh, and you're welcome, Claire. No worries. You're welcome, Debbie.
Thank you very much, Kyle.
Oh, you're welcome, Sharon.
Again, we learned a lot.
Well, that's great. That's all I really hope for. So, in addition to all of the resources I'm offering, I'm hoping these little tidbits that I'm demonstrating either give you an idea of how to teach these materials, or give you an idea of, or like answering your questions so that you know how to teach it in the future.
I want to say a big thank you, and hopefully things work out well and you get a fantastic job after this.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks for all the wonderful feedback I'm seeing in the comments here. Oh, you still have your annotation on. That's okay, Paula. So here's the website that you can reach me at, but for the most part, if you have any more questions over the next 2 weeks before I'm gone, just send me an email right here. And again, I'll be sending out these slides, so don't worry about that. Or just give me a phone call and I'll be able to answer your questions that way. Feel ready to teach this? Oh, excellent. I'm excited to see what you do with this material because I didn't want our Techno Tutors material to go to waste. So to hear that you're going to actually use it is fantastic to me. Thanks for all the wonderful feedback, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kyle. These have been great.
Thank you, Jessica. Take care, everyone. Unless you have another question, you can stick around. Oh, no worries. Thank you, Stephanie.
See you, Kyle.
Bye.
Take care, Sharon,
Bye.
Gloria, Linda.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome, Patricia. Take care.